franchise tag on running back Josh Jacobs. The RB tag is just over $10 million for the upcoming season. NHL trade deadline coming and going about an hour ago. Move that gets in just before the wire. The Minnesota Wild landing defenseman John Klingberg from the Ducks for 2 players and a 4th-round pick. The Ducks also wind up sending a defenseman. They wind up sending a defenseman, Dmitry Kulikov, from Anaheim to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins also wind up landing Nick Bonino back in Pittsburgh. He won 2 cups there. He gets traded from the Sharks to the Pittsburgh Penguins. James Van Riemsdyk, originally thought to be going to Detroit. He winds up staying with the Philadelphia Flyers. Toronto Blue Jays first baseman Vladimir Guerrero leaving today's spring training game against the Rays. Right knee discomfort, left in the second inning. Vlad Jr., by the way, is on the roster for the Dominican Republic's World Baseball Classic team. In the second round of the Arnold Palmer Invitational, Kurt Kitayama leads by 2. Coverage on ESPN+.
Need to spring back into hiring season? You need Indeed, the smart hiring platform that delivers 4 times more hires than all other sites combined, according to Talent Nest. Post a job and hire ASAP. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hey, welcome in. Friday edition of After Further Review presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Matt Musso in for Matt Moscona again. Just like last Friday. Here again. Scone's in Vegas. He's watching some UFC fights. He'll be back on Monday. So I'm taking you home here 3 to 6 on this Friday, sending you into the weekend. Jacob Beck, Paul O'Neill along for the ride as well. Pretty good show set up for you here over the next 3 hours. There will be plenty of LSU baseball as it's a big weekend for the Tigers at the box. They'll play Butler and Central Connecticut State. Butler and Central Connecticut State are playing each other as we speak. We'll get you an update on that game in the next segment as well. Get you some updates from the NFL Combine. This is day 2 of drills at the Combine. You had some interesting headlines come out yesterday, so we'll talk about that a little bit as the show goes along, kind of what made the biggest news. Talk about the LSU guys as well. And, I found a couple of interesting stories in the NFL. I mean, we've all kind of seen the NFLPA report cards that came out earlier this week, right? Which, look, I love that. I think it's really cool that they're going to the players and having them fill out this survey and whatnot. But something I thought would come out of that, or what those report cards would show, wasn't necessarily true. So I want to talk about that a little bit later on in the show, and pair of NFL quarterback stories that are very interesting, and they deal with one usual suspect and one maybe not so usual suspect. The Pels are at Golden State tonight. We'll give a brief preview on that. LSU wraps up the regular season in hoops. They face Florida on Saturday. We'll give a brief preview of that as well. And like I said, plenty of LSU baseball mixed in. But we will start with the big news surrounding the SEC and their scheduling format and whatnot. So Ross Dellinger over at Sports Illustrated, he's been all over this really from this morning. It started with the report, not necessarily the report, but the quotes from Nick Saban kind of bemoaning Alabama potentially having to play Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU as their 3 permanents. I'm not here to make this all about Nick Saban because I really don't care that Nick Saban is wondering how you get to that. I don't really care if Nick Saban feels inconvenienced. My guess is he actually doesn't. He's just using his voice. Nick Saban's going to play the schedule that he's dealt and win most of the games on that schedule that he's dealt every year anyway. So, again, it was a down year for them last year. They lost 2 games. Now, granted, the games they lost were to 2 of their potential permanent opponents, right? But they're going to be just fine. I don't really care if he's upset or not. But what I will do is use his quote as a jumping off point to talk about the scheduling, where he mentioned the 3 opponents, right? Or, quote, I've always been an advocate for playing more conference games, but if you play more games, I think you have to get the 3 fixed opponents right. They're giving us Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU. I don't know how they come to that decision. First of all, yes, you do. Like, you do, Nick. Stop. You're not fooling anybody. Again, I understand what you're doing. You're advocating your team, but you fully understand how they get to that decision. I understand how they get to that decision. All of you listening understand how they get to that decision. And we've talked about it an awful lot throughout all the speculation of how they would determine the 3 opponents. 9 games felt almost inevitable at this point. The SEC should have gone to a 9-game conference schedule a while ago. Everyone's said their piece on how inequitable and inadequate the SEC scheduling format was at 8 games, where you could go 10 years without playing a team from the opposite division, which was absurd. They're going to eliminate divisions. They're going to go to 9 games. That's the format that's gaining all this strength. They're going to try and make this decision final in about 2 weeks or 2 weeks' time or so, according to Dellinger over at Sports Illustrated. And it makes a lot of sense because now you have the, escalated timeline of Texas and Oklahoma joining in July of 24. So, Nick Saban says, I don't know how that come to that decision. I say, BS. Yes, you do. And the SEC is putting it under the guise of using a 10-year metric. We've talked about this. Using a 10-year metric with league records, and you divide it into the top half of the league finishers and then the bottom half. And the teams that finish in the top half, they face 2 opponents out of the top half, 1 opponent out of the bottom half. It's the opposite for the bottom. The bottom half faces 2 opponents in the bottom half, 1 opponent from the top half. So if you were to look at winning percentages from the top half of the league from 2013 to 2022 and take Oklahoma and Texas's Big 12 records in that, which is got to be how they're doing this because they have no SEC games, how do you know where they fall in? Alabama's obviously, let me just do it this way. The top half is Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, LSU, Florida, Texas, Auburn, and Texas A&M. The bottom half, Missouri, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Tennessee and South Carolina, Kentucky, Arkansas, and of course, Vanderbilt. They can put it under that guise, right? That's to make it equitable. But when you look at how it all shakes out, isn't it strange that that's the same way you keep all the rivalries intact? Right? I mean, for Nick Saban to say, I don't know how you get to that point. Well, Auburn and LSU are in the top half. You're not getting rid of the Iron Bowl, right? You're not getting rid of the LSU game when you really look at what it does for the conference, the exposure that it gives to the conference. It's one of the top-rated games in college football every single year. It is the game in college football with the most NFL talent in that game every single year. The most NFL players come from that game every year. You're not going to get rid of that exposure. And you got to play the 3rd Saturday in October, right? You fought so long to keep it afloat now when Tennessee stunk. Look, they're in the bottom half of the league over the last 10 years. Gee, that works out well. Man, look at Texas. Oklahoma, they're in the top half. Texas A&M's in the top half. Well, that works perfectly. Your 2 biggest rivals. And then, oh, look, there's Arkansas, who the Texas athletic director is on record of saying Texas should play every year in multiple sports. Just so happens they're in the bottom half of the league. Man, that works out really well. Look at Georgia. Oh, 2 top half opponents. Oh, they're your biggest rivals. Florida, Auburn. Got to play them. Here's Kentucky. Just go beat up on them whenever. That's how you get there. And Nick Saban knows that. I know that. Again, all of you listening know that. The more interesting part is that Ross Dellinger and Sports Illustrated, to use Ross's own words from a tweet, from speaking to league insiders, this is our best educated guess of the 3 permanent opponents. Which means this is what they have right now. Like, this is it. If he's speaking to league insiders, and Ross, being as good as he is at his job, is not going to run with this if he does not feel fairly confident about it, especially with the decision probably coming near the end of this month. So I think everybody really had thought it'd be LSU's would be A&M and the Mississippi schools, right? And because you figured Alabama would win a fight to where you wouldn't have to be playing what they have projected here of Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU, but that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. So you end up with Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Alabama if you're LSU. I like it. I know I like it for a couple of reasons. Playing Alabama every year is tough, right? Obviously. But the thing is, to get to where you want to go, you're going to have to beat them anyway. Whether it's in the SEC Championship or the College Football Playoff. You're going to have to play them, and you're going to have to beat them. So why not just try and get it out of the way in the regular season like you did this year? Sure, without divisions, you could run up against them again in the SEC Championship game and lose out. But at that point, you're in the playoff anyway. You're going to have to go through them anyway. So why not do it in the regular season? It's a great the build to that game, the 2-week build to that game is unlike any other on the schedule. It has been that way forever. I like keeping it on there if you can. I like keeping it on there a hell of a lot more than I would have liked keeping Florida on there, right? For sake. And I'm in the camp that I consider Florida LSU's biggest rival because it just goes across multiple sports. Especially the 3 major sports. But I like that. I know people maybe are going to scoff at the Texas A&M thing, that rivalry might be forced a little bit, and it feels forced a little bit, and that's fair. But I think that comes mainly more from Texas A&M. And if it's not them, it probably would have been Florida. So I'm fine with that. Texas A&M, they're not really a threat to you, are they? I mean, sure, they upset you last year, but you've owned that series since they've come into the league. And, I mean, they're going to have all the hype every year, but do you really have any real feeling that they're going to turn the corner right now? Do you have any reason to really feel that right now? I don't know. And Ole Miss is what Ole Miss is, man. That's a historic game for LSU. It was much bigger, obviously, in, the 50s and the 60s, but Lane Kiffin's got that thing humming, and there's a little juice to that rivalry again, I guess. So I like it. I'm satisfied. If that is ultimately ends up, and they have to make it official, but if that ultimately ends up being LSU's 3 permanent, I can deal with that, man. And you rotate the other 6 throughout the year. I think it works out well for just about everybody in the conference too, just going down. I'm not going to run through every single opponent for everybody, but if you go to Ross's Twitter, he has the screenshot of it posted if you want to look at it there. But I mean, it is fairly, it's pretty darn equitable. And you take Auburn, for example. Auburn, because you have to preserve these rivalries, their top 2 are going to be Alabama and Georgia, and they're in the top half of the league, so they have to play 2 top half of the league teams. You have to play Alabama and Georgia. Okay, well, here's Vanderbilt. Here's your win after that. That's about as equitable as you can make that for Auburn. So looking at it as a whole, I really do like it. I think this is as perfect as they can get it, needing to go to the 9-game schedule. Then figure out everything else. Figure out how to eliminate, some of the multiple Power 5 non-conference games that teams have scheduled. Then you can figure out rev share with ESPN, which many believe that network's going to give you a bigger cut now that you've added more better inventory for them to say. But the first thing you had to do was get this done. This is coming an educated guess off of Speaking the League Insiders, it's about as close as you can get. And I like LSU's potential 3 with Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Alabama. I really do. I think that's just about as equitable as you could make it for LSU. And I think that gives you 3 really, really good games each year that matter to the fans and to the fan base. Let me know your thoughts. Put it in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. Tweet it at me at Musso Matthew. Maybe we can make that the Citizens Bank poll question today, guys. Are you a fan of, or, word it however, if LSU's 3 end up being Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Alabama, are you in favor of that? Whatever. So I'd love to hear your feedback. We can touch on it really throughout the rest of the show, but that's what it looks like it's going to be. And that's big news. And for me, it's good news. So we'll roll with that and see if they make it official or if anything changes here in the next few weeks. They're expected to make their decision. Let's grab a break, come back on the other side. We'll dive into some LSU baseball, get you an update on Butler and Central Connecticut from the box, and we'll preview LSU's game tonight against Butler. We'll preview the rest of the weekend with Central Connecticut State a little bit later on, go through a lineup, what to watch, all of that. But LSU-Butler preview coming up next here on a Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, Injury Attorneys. Of course, we've flipped the calendar now to March. And this is really cool. I know we talked about it a lot over the month of February, that Gordon had partnered with Angel Reese and Alexis Morris and pledged to donate $20 for every point the pair scored throughout the month of February and donate that money to the Turner Syndrome Foundation. Well, in the end, Alexis and Angel have raised $4,060 for Turner Syndrome. I'm sorry, that was still with 2 games to go. It went over $5,000 total, and Gordon has decided that he's going to bump it up to $10,000 total that he's going to pledge to the Turner Syndrome Foundation. So another way that Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys continues to contribute, do great things for our community. Sell you every day. If you've been injured, you need representation, don't go it alone. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Go to getgordon.com. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best-kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal. supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Brought to you by Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com. That's mold-0usa.com. Check them out online. I tell you this all the time. If you notice mold, if mold is a problem, or even odors, Mold Zero can help. And so often people see mold and they think, we're going to have to cut sheetrock. We're going to have to pull things out of the wall. No. With Mold Zero, this is easy. This is minimally invasive with little or no disturbance in that respect. They'll come in. They will spray their fog. You let it dwell. Wait about a couple hours or so for the fog to dissipate. Then you go back into your home. That fog gets into every nook and cranny, so it kills mold and other pathogens. It'll remove odor. They service the entire Greater Baton Rouge and Greater New Orleans area. So check them out at mold-0usa.com to get that free quote and estimate. Mold-0usa.com.
All right, let's talk some LSU baseball. Number 1 ranked Tigers. They're going to host Butler tonight at Alex Box Stadium. Kick off a 4-game weekend. Butler tonight at 6:30. Central Connecticut State tomorrow at 1:30. Central Connecticut State on Sunday at 1. And then Butler again at 6:30 on Monday night. For what it's worth, also, as LSU normally does in these weekends, when they bring in two different teams, those two teams will play each other before or after, LSU plays their games. Currently in the top of the 8th inning, Central Connecticut State leads Butler 6-4. The Bulldogs have a runner on first base with nobody out. We're going to get into Butler, an overview, and key players to watch and things of that nature momentarily in this segment. But the interesting thing is who Butler chose to pitch today in game number 1. They threw their ace senior lefty Corey Bosecker, who came in with an ERA of 2.70. He had just stifled Campbell through 5 1/3, struck out 10. He is a veteran arm and a really good pitcher, and it's who LSU, if you listen to Jay Johnson talk about facing a good lefty yesterday, if you looked at the pitching matchup that LSU released, it looked like they were expecting to face him. This morning, when I did Musso at the box, I said I was expecting LSU to face him and would be floored if Butler threw him against Central Connecticut State. So consider me floored. I don't understand that decision at all. You have a chance to upset the number 1 team in the country. Your best bet is your ace, and you threw him against Central Connecticut State, and you're losing that game anyway, currently in the top of the 8th inning. LSU will now face Cole Graverson tonight, who, for what it's worth, is another left-handed arm for Butler, but it'll be his first start of the season. He has an ERA of 5.40 in 3 1/3 innings. The opponent early in the year is hitting 286 off of him. It very much feels like LSU dodged a bullet. I liked LSU's chances anyway in the game tonight for reasons that we'll get into. I like them even more now. Let's look at Butler as a whole a little bit. Out of the Big East, they're off to a really rough start, and it's not overly surprising. If I'm being honest, they were picked by the coaches to finish last in the Big East. So a rough season was expected for the Butler Bulldogs. They came into this weekend 2-6. Again, they are trailing right now in the 8th inning against Central Connecticut State. If that score holds, they'll fall to 2-7 and then have to face LSU tonight. Butler when you look at them as a whole, the major weakness is the pitching staff. But it's the bullpen, to be specific. And that's why I liked LSU's chance anyway with when I thought Corey Bosecker would be on the mound. Because what LSU's done very well this year is work counts and get good pitchers, out of the game early. It hadn't always worked out for you in a win-loss. Look at Iowa. But you still knocked Brody Breck out of the game early and got into the bullpen. Look at Tuesday night against LeBaron Johnson. He threw 92 pitches. He didn't give up a run, but you got him out of the game in the fifth inning, and you were able to start taking swings against the bullpen. Now, Texas had a really good bullpen. That was going to be the strategy 100% against Corey Bosecker. It still is against Cole Graverson. I mean, he's a lefty, and look, could he go out there and baffle LSU? Sure, maybe. The numbers don't necessarily, bear that out early in the season, but sure, could he? Absolutely. It's hard to hit left-handed pitching. It's why it's such a luxury to have multiple lefties on your team, because it's hard. It's hard to hit them. And I'll bring up the most recent example that I can think of that is kind of fits this game would be the Friday night game against Eastern Kentucky a few years ago, where they threw a situational lefty and he stifled you and you lost that game 2-0. Granted, also the weather for that game was miserable. It was cold and the wind was blowing in. It'll be much more favorable tonight. But again, baseball is baseball, and anything can happen in the game of baseball. Round ball, round bat, right? But the strategy is going to remain the same. Get Cole Graverson out of the game early and get into the Butler bullpen, because, boy, have they blown leads. The Sunday game against Fairleigh Dickinson, Butler had a lead late into that game. They gave up 1 run in the 7th, 4 runs in the 8th, and a run in the 9th to lose 10-9. That's just one of many examples we can point to. Jay Johnson yesterday, when he met with the media, talked about Butler playing Campbell tough. And for 2 out of the 3 games they did. The middle game, they lost 25-6. It wasn't close. The first 2 games they did, though. We told you that their ace was flawless. He was great against Campbell. Butler had a 4-1 lead. A 4-1 lead late in the game against Campbell heading to the 7th inning. They gave up a run in the bottom of the 7th and then 7 runs in the bottom of the 8th from the bullpen to lose that game 9-4. And it don't look close anymore. Same thing happened on Sunday. You guessed it. Butler was up 9-2. 9-2. Going into the bottom of the 7th inning, trying to stave off a sweep against Campbell. They gave up 4 runs in the 7th, 2 runs in the 8th, 1 run in the 9th. That tied it and got walked off in the bottom of the 10th. That's a large enough sample size for me to say their bullpen can't hold a lead early in the year. And I have no reason to believe, unless LSU is just completely off, let me not say that. They're about to get their biggest challenge in LSU's lineup. Let's put it that way. Get into that bullpen. And you'll like how the game finishes. And I think you got dealt a little bit of a break with a lesser pitcher on the mound than their ace tonight. So that's fantastic. Take advantage of their biggest weakness if you're LSU. Offensively for Butler, there's a few guys to keep an eye on. Look, they hit 238 as a club. They're not a powerful team either. Joey Urban, though, he's an outfielder on the club. He leads them in average at 371, leads them in homers with 3, and leads them in RBI in 10. That's just absolutely the guy you cannot let beat you. Xavier Carter's another guy who's hitting over 300 and has played every game. Carter Dorgy is their leadoff hitter. He's hitting 294 on the year with an on-base percentage of 415. He's also second on the team in RBI. So that's another guy you really got to watch. But other than that, it's just it's not a lot that's going to blow you away offensively. Jake DeFries is a threat on the base paths if you're interested in that kind of thing. 3 of 4 on the stolen base. The problem is he's hitting 194. I mean, if the guy gets on, he's looking to steal bases pretty much immediately. But he hasn't got on very much. 194 average and a 359 on base percentage. So going up against Paul Skeens, that's going to be a really heavy test for Butler. And look, this is the best competition they faced obviously all year. Campbell's a great mid-major. Don't get me wrong. They're an NCAA tournament team year in and year out. It feels like they gave Tennessee all they wanted up in Knoxville a year ago in the regional, but this is going to be a whole other ball game for Butler come 6:30 tonight. So I like LSU's chances a lot. I think Central Connecticut State, and again, if you listen to Musso with the Box this morning, you know this. I think Central Connecticut State's a better team anyway than Butler. I think it's going to be potentially a really rough weekend for Butler, one way or the other, and mainly because of the pitching staff. They're not great in the field either, for what it's worth. They're fielding like 930 something. So that's the Butler Bulldogs. LSU will face them at 6:30 tonight. Currently, they trail Central Connecticut State 6-5 in the top of the 8th inning. They did add a run. And looks like they have a runner at third base with 2 outs right now, a chance to tie the game against the Blue Devils there. But one way or another, it's a dogfight there for no pun intended, I guess, for the Bulldogs for Butler against Central Connecticut State late in the game at the box right now, and they will face LSU tonight at 6:30. Grab a break, come back on the other side. We'll go around the SEC, and great news for LSU fans. Last night, and it came courtesy of Youngstown State, their men's basketball team. We'll talk about it all next here on After Further Review, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Renaissance Hotel and the Watermark Hotel, 2 great locations. If you're downtown or in Southtown, our friends at the Watermark and the Renaissance can certainly help make your next event spectacular, whether it's a wedding or an intimate gathering. Downtown at the Watermark, Baton Rouge's premier luxury hotel. Or if you're at the Renaissance for a board meeting, they have elegant, intimate board meetings for a dozen people, or meeting space for up to 500 people in their spacious ballroom. At the Renaissance, they like to say, we're in the business of saying yes. So if it's annual conferences, award banquets, nonprofit school fundraisers, if you're hosting a sports team, a formal cotillion etiquette classes, they do it all at the Renaissance Hotel right there on Bluebonnet. It's the Renaissance Hotel. You can check them out online for reservations or to get more information. It's the Renaissance and the Watermark, downtown and Southtown. Check them out at the Renaissance Hotel.
What the? Is that a skag? You've got to be kidding me. Look at those stripes. Oh, and that comfy seat. It's like he's riding on a cloud. We get it, Gary. Your stripes look perfect.
The moment you know you want a skag. Skag. Simply the best.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com, 288-8138, 288-8138, or ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank, vinyl siding, they do it all. And at Relief Windows, they will never take $1 from you until you are thrilled with the work. Seriously, no deposit, no down payment. They do not want $1 from you until you are thrilled with the work that they do. That's Relief Windows. And what a time of year. We are moving to the winter months, and this is the time of year when those leaky, drafty windows can become costly. Of course, lets the cold air in, the warm air from your heater out. Make your home more energy efficient. Lower your monthly energy bills. Increase your home's resale value with energy efficient replacement windows from Relief Windows. 288-8138 or ReliefWindows.com.
Back here on a Friday edition of After Further Review. Musso sitting in for Moscona. Scone watching some UFC this weekend out in Vegas. He'll be back on Monday recapping everything he missed while he was out. So I'm filling in for him once again. On yesterday's show, though, while Matt was still here, he talked about something that plenty had talked about up to this point, really this week, and that was the potential for Pete Maravich's career points record in NCAA to be broken. Pete, of course, at 3,667 points. Antoine Davis from Detroit Mercy was hot on the heels last night, needing 26 points going into the second round, the quarterfinal of the Horizon League Championship. They were facing the Youngstown State Penguins. It seemed all but certain that it would fall. And, of course, Davis, well, let's get to this first. It didn't, obviously. By now, you know that. He turned in one of his worst performances in about 2 months, 22 points. So fell 4 points shy of breaking it. Their season now over at 14-19. They've been eliminated. Horizon League's a one big league. I'll get to something momentarily that I saw on Twitter last night as well. But obviously everybody breathes a big sigh of relief here if you're an LSU fan, because nobody really wanted to see that record fall for Pete. And you know what I realized last night, and why, is obviously because Antoine Davis was in his fifth year because of COVID, and it had, obviously, Pete did it in 3 years, right? I mean, you know all the stats, the field goal percentage, all that. Pete didn't have the three-point line and whatnot. Only got to play 3 years, Let me say, I am glad he did not break the record. I'm glad that Pete Maravich still holds that record. Let me also say, I learned last night that it sucks rooting against history. That really wasn't fun. You're rooting against the game at that point, and that's not something that I enjoy doing, even though I'm pleased with the outcome, if that makes sense. What I also will say is, and again, I'm not the first to say this, even if Antoine Davis would have broken the record, obviously there would have been a giant asterisk there, but the record that's truly untouchable is the points per game record, the 44.2 points per game that Pete Maravich averaged. That is ultimately the record that is to do that over 3 years is insanity. And even with the 3-point line, it's not going to be touched because the guys who theoretically could do that are not in college for 3 years anymore. They're most likely a one-and-done player. So even if Antoine Davis would have broken it, I think you would have had a lot of people, aside from the fifth-year thing in all those circumstances, really still looked at Pete as the scoring champion because of the 44.2 points per game average. Now, that all being said, the CBI, if you don't know, it's an invitational postseason tournament in college basketball every March, kind of like the NIT, but below the NIT. They tweeted last night a picture. It's hosted in Daytona Beach for your if you're curious. They posted a Google Maps image of a route from the University of Detroit Mercy down to Daytona Beach with the thinking emoji. And obviously implying that maybe they'll just put Detroit Mercy in and give him a shot to break the record. No. And it goes into what I just said. Even if he would have done it, it would have been great. It would have been a great accomplishment. But because of Pete's 44.2, a lot of people would have probably looked at Pete still as that. Why, if you're the CBI, would you want to delegitimize this kid's record even more by just flatly away? That's like throwing a meatball up if you want to give up the home run record. Or that's like a quarterback seeing a defensive end going for a sack or coming near him and taking a dive. Why would you delegitimize a record purposely just to allow him to break it? I don't think they're going to do that. I really hope they don't. Not just selfishly because I want Pete to hold the record, but because that kid's already dealing with enough. He's already had to come out and say, yeah, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be legitimate. He did it in 3 years and whatnot. Why would you add even a heavier asterisk to it by doing something like that? By putting in a 14-19 team in your tournament. Hopefully they were just kind of, screwing around, but no. CBI, no. You just no. That's awful. So look, Pete Maravich still reigns above college basketball as your all-time leader in scoring. A rightful spot that he deserves to hold forever because of the sheer just the feat. 3,667 points in 3 years, average of 44.2 points a game, no 3-point line. We all know the story, so he holds the title still, and I'm pretty glad. All right, let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions.
All right, let's look through what you got on deck here for men's basketball in the SEC this weekend, final Saturday of the regular season. LSU, they'll visit Gainesville and face Florida. That's a 5 p.m. tip on the SEC Network. We'll give you a brief thumbnail on that a little bit later on. Number 2, Alabama. They visit number 24, Texas A&M. It's an 11 a.m. tip Saturday on CBS. If you were here yesterday, Otter gave you that game to bet on. It says take A&M. Bama, big letdown spot for them. Major comeback against the rival. A&M's going to be ready for them. So Otter kind of gave that out as a future play yesterday in Otter Lock, so keep that in mind. Georgia's at South Carolina. Number 12, Tennessee. They travel to Auburn at 1 p.m. tip on ESPN. Number 23, Kentucky has to go to Bud Walton. They're licking their wounds a little bit after an upset loss here in the midweek. That's a 1 p.m. tip on CBS. Follows Alabama and Texas A&M. Ole Miss, they face Missouri, 2:30 on the SEC Network. And that game precedes LSU and Florida. And then the nightcap, Mississippi State and Vanderbilt from Memorial Gym in Nashville. That's a 7:30 tip on the SEC Network. SEC baseball scores. You got some games in action already and plenty on the slate tonight. One final, Nebraska upset number 7 Vanderbilt 5-3. The Doors fall to 6-4. They're in a tournament being played in Minneapolis. It's actually being played in the Vikings Stadium. Maybe you've seen the pictures from that. It's a little absurd. It looks strange, to say the least. But nonetheless, they're playing there in Vandy, lost the opener. In the bottom of the third, in Fayetteville, Arkansas, 8th ranked in the country. They lead Wright State 1-0. Back to Minneapolis we go. Ole Miss is up there as well. They're facing Maryland. Ole Miss played 3 games against Maryland last weekend, and now they're playing them again, which is an odd scheduling strategy, if you want to call it that. It's just you don't see it very often. The Rebs are up 1-0 in the top of the second inning, though. Number 4 versus number 18. They're Indiana State and Kentucky. That was postponed in Lexington. They'll play 2 tomorrow. Number 22 Miami visits number 6 Florida tonight in Gainesville, a 6:30 p.m. Or excuse me, a 5:30 Central first pitch in that one. Florida coming off a 10-8 loss to Jacksonville in the midweek. Number 20, Alabama hosts the University of Illinois Chicago in Tuscaloosa this week. Number 3, Tennessee hosts Gonzaga in Knoxville. Auburn hosts Lipscomb in Auburn. Mississippi State hosts Mississippi State's in the Frisco College Baseball Classic. They will play Ohio State tonight at 6 p.m. Georgia hosts Georgia Tech. LSU, of course, hosts Butler. Clemson and South Carolina play in Clemson tonight. That's on the ACC Network. And Texas A&M 5-3, licking their wounds after a series loss to Portland. It gets none easier for the Aggies. They're at Shriners, and they will face 14th-ranked Louisville in the nightcap of that tournament. That is Around the SEC. It's presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, as it is every single day here on After Further Review. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side, close out hour number 1 with the headlines from the first day of the Combine. Anything popping today as well. That's next on AFR. Stay here.
AFR.
Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001. 752-0001. Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air because I love telling you about great companies that treat people right. That's River City's 1 hour air. They make you feel valued, and they make you feel comfortable. When you schedule service with River City's 1 hour air, when technicians come into the house, you get a phone call, an email, and a text message alerting you the technician's on the way. You get a text message with a picture, a photo, name, and reviews of that technician who's coming to your house. They take the time to explain everything. They're very thorough. They have equipment on the truck because they're so big on continuing education. They have equipment on the truck other companies don't even own, never even heard of. River City's 1 hour air. Nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out. They'll never charge you extra. River City's 1 hour air. Got a problem with your home central AC? Call River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank & Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance, with the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
It's day number 2 of drills at the NFL Combine. DBs on the field, Mekhi Garner and Jay Ward for LSU. Both of them ran the 40-yard dash. Jay Ward's best unofficial time so far, it was in his second attempt, a 4.56. And then for Mekhi Garner so far, his best was his first. It was a 4.55. So there you go. Both of those guys out there doing drills in Indy so far today. Yesterday, it was the D-line out there. And you had a lot of headlines come out. Let's start with some of the LSU guys. For what it's worth, Ollie Gage, Jaquelin Roy, B.J. Ojolari, Micah Baskerville, so D-line and linebackers. None of them really, they didn't do anything. I mean, they didn't run 40s. They didn't do the vertical jump. They're going to do all that at LSU's pro day. They did their weigh-in and everything. I don't really know if you're that interested in the guy's measurements, and I'm not going to sit here and run through that to close an hour of the show. The interesting thing is Ollie Gay, in doing one drill, he did pull up. There were multiple reports from the Combine that he pulled up during the drill and was speaking to a trainer. I have not seen any update from that today. So it's still just the report yesterday that he pulled up. That'd be rough for Ollie Gay to hurt himself there. Hopefully it's nothing serious and he's good to go and can do the 40 and the vertical jump and the broad jump and things of that nature at LSU's pro day. So a pretty uneventful day for the LSU guys yesterday. Not so much everywhere else. Did y'all see what Nolan Smith did? So Nolan Smith's an edge rusher from Georgia. And he put on one hell of a show. How about a 4.39 40? Sub 4.4. Excuse me, sub 4.0. Sub 4.40. That edged out Byron Young from Tennessee, who was 4.43. It edged out his Bulldog teammate, Robert Beal, that was 4.48. All that's plenty impressive. But you want to know what makes it even more impressive? It was faster than Saquon Barkley. This edge rusher, Nolan Smith from Georgia, ran faster than Saquon Barkley. That should be enough to just shoot you up to the top of the headlines anyway. Make you one of the biggest winners out of the Combine so far. No. He wasn't done. He had his sights set on the vertical jump next. How about 41.5 inches? That's better than the number that DK Metcalf posted in 2019. He outjumped DK Metcalf and outran Saquon Barkley. So at 238 pounds, Nolan Smith is the heaviest player with a 40-plus vertical and a sub-4.4 40 at the Combine since 2003. How you doing? That's the way you shoot up draft boards a little bit there. Pitt's Kalia Cansey, easy for you to say, posted a 4.67 second 40-yard dash on Thursday. He's a defensive tackle. That's the best time for a defensive tackle since 2003. He beat Aaron Donald, who he was already getting comparisons to just for playing at Pitt. Now try stopping those comparisons if you're Cansey. And the other thing, which I still just want to understand, is everybody can't wait for day number 3 when they'll finally get measurements on Bryce Young, who Bryce Young yesterday, for what it's worth, said that he expects to weigh in the 200-pound range. Bryce Young looked pretty good taking hits in the SEC. Drew Brees was 6 foot, 200 pounds. Kyler Murray's 5'10", 5'11", 207 pounds. And it seems to be working out pretty well for them. Baker Mayfield wasn't very tall. He was still able to go number 1 overall. Kyler Murray went number 1 overall. I think we freak out about this. If it's not size, it's a hand size. Remember the hand size with Joey B? That seemed to work out pretty fine. I think Bryce Young's going to be fine. Don't overthink it and take him and not take him number 1 overall. You got a chance to draft Bryce Young? Draft Bryce Young. Who cares if he's 5'11", 5'10"? He's a really good quarterback. He's the best quarterback in the draft. So those are your headlines from the Combine. We'll keep you up to date throughout the rest of the show if anything else pops. Hour number 3 is next. Don't move.
AFR.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. williamsoneye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Clearing out waterways in Baton Rouge to improve drainage and lessen the threat of flooding. We show you what work is being done right, and we'll tell you what's coming up. It follows flood concerns and residents who are nervous every time it rains as they try to protect their properties. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is Sports.
I'm Kevin Winter. News coming out of the NBA today. More rough news for Orlando Magic forward Jonathan Isaac. The 25-year-old season is done. He undergoes surgery on a torn left adductor muscle. Isaac played only 11 games this year. He missed the last 2 seasons after he tore his ACL in the 2020 bubble with the Magic. News first reported by the NFL Network, confirmed by ESPN. The Las Vegas Raiders are planning on using a franchise tag on running back Josh Jacobs. The running back tag this year is just over $10 million for the upcoming season. NHL trade deadline coming and going. The Wild picking up defenseman John Klingberg from the Anaheim Ducks. Also, Dmitry Kulikov, a defenseman, goes from the Ducks to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins also bring back Nick Bonino. James Van Riemsdyk, however, winds up staying with the Philadelphia Flyers. At the second round of the Arnold Palmer Invitational from Bay Hill, what an early morning it was from Kurt Kitayama of 4 under 68. He leads by 1 now because Cam Young is still on the course and playing well. He's playing the 14th hole. Xander Schauffele is one of 4 golfers who are sitting at 6 under par. NBA doubleheader starts 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Nets and the Celtics in Boston.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Kicking off hour number 2 after further review. Musso sitting in for Moscona. Scone's back on Monday. Jacob Beck, Paul O'Neill, they're along for the ride. 1 hour in the books. Went by pretty quick, man. We only got 2 more hours, and then we are off to the weekend. A lot of us still want to get to. We'll continue to talk LSU baseball. We'll preview Central Connecticut State, LSU's second opponent this weekend, in the next segment. LSU hoops. They close out the regular season in Gainesville tomorrow. Give you a thumbnail on that. And the Pelicans, they're at Golden State tonight to face the Warriors. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well in the next hour. I wanted to start this hour talking a couple stories from the NFL regarding quarterbacks. One of them I want to talk a little bit more than the other. So that's what we're going to start with, and that's Daniel Jones. Did y'all see this? Daniel Jones. So the Giants didn't pick up the option on his contract, right? It was a very much a prove-it year for Daniel Jones in 2022. And look, Danny Dimes was good, man. It was his best year, a breakout performance for Daniel Jones. He completed 67% of his passes. That's by far the highest of his career. He threw for 3,200 yards. That's the most in his career. The 15 touchdowns actually were the second most in his career, but the 5 interceptions were a low for him. He had his highest quarterback rating. He was good. Giants made the playoffs. Won a playoff game, upsetting the Vikings. Really good year, and everybody says, okay, you got to have him back now, man. You put him on that prove-it year. He proved it. That long-term deal worked out now. It's been 4 years. Well, this is where I restate my question. Did you see this? Daniel Jones wants more than $45 million per year with his new deal with the New York Giants. Now, look, I know they say in negotiating, always start high, but $45+ million a year for Daniel Jones. Sheesh. If you're wondering the company that would put him in, there are only 5 NFL quarterbacks who currently average $45 million or more per year on their current contracts. They are Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. No, that didn't go well. Kyler Murray. No, that didn't go well. Deshaun Watson. We'll see. Too early to tell. But it's Cleveland. Probably not going to go well. Patrick Mahomes. $45 million for Daniel Jones is absurd. So, or maybe it's not, but I think everyone assumes with that franchise tag would be the option with Daniel Jones. The Giants would have until Tuesday, March the 7th, to apply that franchise tag. They could do one of two, right? You could do the exclusive franchise tag, which actually would be about $45 million, which would get him close to the $45 million a year there. Or they could do the non-exclusive, which would be 32.4, but it would also, allow Daniel Jones to go talk with other teams and see what he can get on the open market. I don't want to say there can't be a team that wouldn't give him that money because Kyler Murray. That's why. But that's not going to work out well. I don't think. It certainly didn't this year. Kyler Murray was pretty unproven when he got that deal and won anything of significance. Daniel Jones had one breakout year. There ain't no way in hell I would give him $45 million a year for one breakout season. But the latest report as of 2 hours ago is the Giants and Daniel Jones are making progress in contract talks. I cannot imagine they're going to give him that money. But maybe they're obviously working something there that they don't have to do franchise. They want him back. Because while if you send him to the open market, somebody might not give him the $45 million, but would they give him, 38 or somewhere around there? Would they get him somewhere more in that range of Kirk Cousins, in the mid to tier range of quarterbacks right now? Potentially, which would be more than the 32.4 that would be the non-exclusive franchise tag, which he'd take over the franchise tag for a long-term deal. So it makes sense for the Giants to want to do this, but you can't give that guy $45 million. He is not Aaron Rodgers. He is not Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson, while that didn't go well, Russell's got skins on the wall. He's a veteran. I think you run the risk of what I think is a very bad contract with Kyler Murray if you're the New York Giants and you do that with Daniel Jones. That's just absurd to me. Again, like I said, I know, start high, right? Start high in negotiating, come down from there. $45+ million for Danny Dimes after one breakout year. Come on. So we'll see. The reports from ESPN.com, again, that the two sides have made progress and that it isn't, quote, unreasonable for a deal to be done by Tuesday's deadline. And then they could potentially use their franchise tag on Saquon Barkley. It's an interesting offseason for New York. But, I mean, $45 million for Daniel Jones. My goodness. The other quarterback to talk about that I wanted to talk about here is Aaron Rodgers. And for a couple reasons. Number one, to demonstrate that Vegas is just absolutely awful at projecting favorites for where coaches and team and quarterbacks and players might land, because they have the Las Vegas Raiders as the overwhelming favorite to land Aaron Rodgers at minus 200. The Jets are next at plus $1.40. And then the Titans at 9-1. I say it's absurd because the Athletics reporting that the GM and Josh McDaniels have apparently agreed that the Raiders are not going to pursue Aaron Rodgers. So how can they be the favorite? It's not always a great measuring stick, Vegas, on that when it comes to it. This still very much feels like a Packers Jets race for Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, the Jets are important locally here because of their ties to Derek Carr, and the Saints are very, very much still pursuing Derek Carr and like him an awful lot. And if the Jets are going to wait for Aaron Rodgers, which reportedly they are, they could end up losing out on Derek Carr. And that could potentially be to the benefit of the New Orleans Saints or of the Carolina Panthers. Who knows? One of the two. But it very much feels like a Packers-Jets race for Rodgers at this point, and you've kind of had conflicting reports from ESPN on Rodgers and the Packers. Jeff Darlington said he spoke to a high-ranking official in the Packers organization that believes Aaron is coming back. Field Yates from ESPN projected Aaron Rodgers to be the Green Bay Packers starting quarterback next year. There's also been a report from ESPN that it feels like the two sides, Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, are looking to part. They're making it easier over these next few days to part ways. You know what would clear up a lot of this for multiple teams in the NFL, even teams that aren't looking at Aaron Rodgers, like the New Orleans Saints? If Aaron Rodgers would just open his mouth and tell you where he's going to play football, or at least tell you the way he's leaning. But he hadn't done that. And probably won't for, I guess, the foreseeable future. I guess if he's still holding out on the Packers, that's probably not a good sign for them. I'm just kind of over all of it and wish Aaron Rodgers would either play or retire. Play or don't, man. Who cares at this point? The only reason I have any interest in it is because it's holding up other teams, and one of them's the local team here, potentially, because you don't necessarily know where they're going to be able to. And that changes the conversation for Derek Carr, obviously. So, Aaron Rodgers, play or don't, but one way or the other, man, speed it up. Holding everybody patient while you went on your darkness retreat. You're out of that. Now you're in just perpetual limbo again with this. If it ain't that clear to you where you want to go, maybe don't play anymore. But you're holding up other teams, and I think it's a crappy thing to do. He doesn't ask me, though. Gonna grab a break here. First break of hour number 2 on a Friday edition of After Further Review presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. When we return, we will get back to some LSU baseball. The game at the box between Central Connecticut State and Butler has gone final. We'll let you know how that turned out. Also, we will preview LSU's second opponent this weekend, the aforementioned Central Connecticut State Blue Devils. A team that should be familiar to LSU. We'll talk about it next on AFR. Don't move.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dine in or carry out 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, and sports on TV. What more could you possibly want? How about sandwiches? Well, they've got those. What about salads? Pluckers actually has really underrated salads. Giant, gorgeous, fresh salads. You can actually eat healthy at Pluckers. Or you could just binge. Award-winning jumbo chicken wings tossed in your favorite sauce. You want to create your own menu item? Do it. They encourage the creativity. Great sides as well, like the cheese fries, the El Guapo dip, maybe the homemade blue cheese potato chips, holy macaroni, fried pickles. They got it all at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. The best place to watch the game, which game? Any game, is at Pluckers, because you can eat wings, drink beer, and watch sports on TV. Remember, at Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shawbills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires at the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil change, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shawbills. Let them give it the once-over. And you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawbillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawbillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shawbills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shawbills credit card only at Shawbills.
Final score from Alex Box Stadium: Central Connecticut State 6, Butler 5. So the Butler Bulldogs, they fall to 2-7. They will face LSU at 6:30 tonight to round out their doubleheader. It will be LSU's first game of the weekend, and of course they'll face Central Connecticut State the next 2 days. So that's what we're going to preview here in this segment. I really enjoy these types of weekends where you get multiple teams in it. Nice change of pace. I mean, of course, there's the benefit of maybe mimicking a tournament. You know, you'll see different teams, obviously, in a regional or things of that nature. But I kind of just like, instead of just seeing the same team over and over again, when you have that luxury in the non-conference, why not? I like it. I think it provides a little bit more intrigue. And you're seeing two very different teams this weekend as well in Butler and Central Connecticut State. So we previewed the Butler Bulldogs in the last hour, about an hour ago, actually. Excuse me. And then we'll have what to watch, especially when the LSU lineup comes out, what we're looking for this weekend, things of that nature. But let's take a look at the Central Connecticut State Blue Devils. And again, a team that should be very familiar to LSU fans because you played them in 2021 in the Eugene Regional. It was an elimination game. You sent them home. It was a Giovanni DiGiacomo walk-off single in the bottom of the 10th inning for a 6-5 LSU victory in that contest, and you stayed alive and ultimately won that regional. This is a very capable mid-major program in Central Connecticut State. They are normally in the NCAA tournament a lot. They have once again been picked to win their conference, the Northeast Conference, by the coaches this season, ahead of LIU, who won it last season. For what it's worth, I should say they won the tournament last year. Got the bid, one bid league. We know how that works. Obviously, up to this point, the interesting thing about Central Connecticut State is they haven't played baseball yet. They were supposed to open up their season on the 26th of February against Massachusetts. That was postponed. So their first game was against Butler today, which is week 3. That happens. The Ivy League does that as well. They always open their season later. They have a shorter regular season. They don't play 56 games. So just an interesting caveat there, and I think that definitely factors in. They're playing their first baseball this weekend. You got those first series jitters. You're not always as sharp. How does that play in for them? But they are a very good team. I think they're the second best team here this weekend. I think they're better than Butler. Obviously, they just beat Butler. But capable club. Mentioned the 2021 game in the regional. Kind of want to get back to that a little bit here. There are some familiar names that you'll see for Central Connecticut State. Only 3 of them played in the field that day. Hunter Pascalini is back. He is preseason all-conference. He was all-conference second team last year after being the leading hitter for Central Connecticut State at .338. He went 1 for 2 in that game against LSU with a run scored back in 2021. The guy who actually relieved him in that game and took his spot in the outfield, Michael Tornero, he's back as a junior, coming off a 275, hitting 275 last season. So you'll see him. Elliot Good played against LSU in 2021 and played quite well. It was 2 for 4 with a run scored in that game. He's a returning junior in the infield. Hit 256, so he'll be looking to pick that up from last year. The challenge that Central Connecticut State has so much is replacing 4 300 hitters from last year's lineup, including Noah Martinez, who was their all-everything, 15 bombs, 313 average, 62 RBIs. But you're also replacing Sam Loda, who hit 297. I'll round that up to 300 for the kid. He was a catcher on the team last year. So they hit 293 as a club last year. That's probably gonna take a little bit of a dip this season. For what it's worth, against Butler earlier, they had. Let's see if I got to pull the box score here. Sorry about that. They had 6 runs on 8 hits, so it was a nice. And they faced Butler's best pitcher. They faced the ace, so it was pretty solid start there for Central Connecticut State. The strength of the team, though, so you are having to replace 4 300 hitters in your lineup. You return a few good ones, including your leading hitter. Why they're picked to finish first in their league is they get all their pitching back. They were a very, very young pitching staff last season that was very, very successful, to the tune of 29 wins on the season, 29-18 record. Dominic Neiman, their ace, started earlier today against Butler, picked up the victory. LSU's more than likely going to see Anthony Mazzucato. He was their number 2 guy last season, 13 games, 13 starts, a 7-4 record, and a 3.25 ERA. More than capable guy. Not an overpowering pitcher. 39 strikeouts and 69 in the third innings pitched last year. The walks were a problem for him, 36 in those 69 innings as well. So he'll look to get that down as well. I say LSU's likely to face him because Central Connecticut State, they have not. I have not seen them officially announce it, but what I have seen them officially announce is that their Sunday guy is still going to pitch Saturday night against Butler. So it would make sense that LSU sees the number 2 guy in the afternoon tomorrow and then figure it out on Sunday for Central Connecticut State there. But a very capable arm there. As a club last year, they had a 4.55 ERA. They were pretty good last year as a young staff. the freshman of the year in the Northeast Conference is Vincent Spicuzzo. He's back. He was doubled as a starter and a closer, was tied for the team lead in saves with 3, but also started 8 games, 15 appearances out of the pen. Luke Garofalo, he's a returning junior. He was the other guy at the back end of the bullpen. He actually pitched today, closed out the game against Butler, picked up his first save. TJ Wainwright led in appearances with 20. He also pitched today against Butler and had a 2.88 ERA. For what it's worth, Garofalo, their closer, had a sub-2 ERA. He was at 1.22. So it's a very capable pitching staff for Central Connecticut State. And don't get me wrong, they're going to face their toughest test all year. The toughest test they will face all year will be this weekend at Alex Box Stadium against LSU. But a good mid-major team that LSU's going to have to come correct against, because if not, they can sneak up and beat you. I mean, look, it took when you played them in 2021 in regional. Now, I get it. Those two teams, not apples to apples. I fully understand that. But, I mean, they took you to extra innings, and it took a walk-off effort if you're LSU in that game. So I look at a staff that was young last year. That's a pitching staff that was young last year, returning and was good. I expect them to be very good this year as well. I think Central Connecticut State's going to be a very, very good team. The interesting thing, kind of mentioned it off the top, I want to see how they perform in their first weekend of action. You got one win already, but you're better than Butler. You should have beaten them. Now with the lights on bright come Saturday afternoon, you're facing LSU in your second game of the year on what's going to be a beautiful day in Baton Rouge, and there should be an awesome crowd at the box. Do those lights get a little too bright for this team now that you do have some new faces in the lineup and some younger guys maybe? I don't want to say younger because they are all a year older and they were young last year, but on the staff, how does that go in that environment and to be in your second? And, of course, there's always the fielding aspect, right? Can't imagine they've been outside too many times this year, so it'll be one of their first trips outside as well, and we'll see how it goes. I think they are. I think they're pretty good though, man. I really do. So, like I said, I think they're the second best team here this weekend over Butler, and they kind of proved that today by beating the Butler Bulldogs. So, LSU Central Connecticut State, that'll be at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon, and then 1 p.m. Sunday afternoon as well. For what it's worth, the 1:30 game tomorrow will be on 100.7 The Tiger here locally for our listeners. Men's basketball will conflict on Eagles. So if you're looking for the baseball game, that's going to be on 100.7 The Tiger tomorrow. All's regular tonight against Butler on Eagle 98.1, the flagship home of LSU athletics. This weekend. Not sure who actually is on play-by-play because Chris Blair is going to be with the basketball team in Gainesville. Maybe it's Jeff Claremont. That's who it was in Round Rock. But don't hold me on that. We're gonna grab a break. Come back on the other side. I want to talk the NFLPA report cards because I thought it would show something about the top teams in the league that it necessarily didn't. And that caught me by surprise. And then also there's just some kind of interesting things that have come out about what's going on in NFL facilities. So we're going to talk about it next here on a Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Come back with us.
AFR.
If you are even thinking about selling your home, I'm going to give you a phone number. I'm going to give you the only phone number that you will need. I'm going to give you Darren James's phone number. It's Darren's cell. Like, you can call this number, you can text this number, and you are literally calling or texting the phone number that Darren James has in his pocket or on his hip. I'm talking about the realtor that sells more homes than anybody. A guy on the Wall Street Journal is listed the top 1,000 realtors in America based on the number of homes sold. You ready? 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com. Of course, you can go to the website, agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need to maximize your return on the home. You want a hassle-free, pleasant experience? You need Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need Darren James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James. I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
So I was over at Traction this morning training with my guy Tevin Moten, and incredible, man. You're in there and you see Ethan Posick, see Bobby Bradley of the Cleveland Indians, you see all these professional athletes, and then on the field you see a young tennis player from Parkview, or any young athlete in any different sport. The bottom line is, with Traction, what they have done there, and they love to say at Traction's where champions are made. Traction has built a facility that caters to elite athletes at the highest level of competition, and they take the same facilities, the same trainers, the same programs, and allow your young athlete to maximize their ability. So if it's sports performance, if it's skill training, if it's physical therapy, it's Traction. TractionSports.com. Go to TractionSports.com. Simply put, there's nothing like Traction here. It's Traction, where champions are made.
Back here on a Friday edition of After Further Review. Musso in for Moscona. It's going to be back on Monday, but we're driving you home here. Halfway home, actually, on a Friday edition of AFR. Still plenty to get to. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen the NFLPA report cards following up or for the 2023 season, I should say. And I love that they do this. I think this is awesome, where they get 1,300 NFL players and they basically survey them and have them, grade their working environment, their working conditions, grade the facility, grade the locker room, grade here. treatment of families, nutrition, the weight room, the strength staff, the training room, the training staff, the locker room, and the last one, while I pull it up, travel. So I think it's pretty cool. And it's graded, obviously, A plus all the way down to F minus, which, F minus, that's tough. That's a tough grading scale there. I don't think I've ever gotten some Fs in my day. I don't think I've ever gotten an F minus before, though. Boy, some teams did, though. The Arizona Cardinals got a whole lot of them. And somehow they weren't the worst. The Washington Commanders were the worst. But, man, the Cardinals were an absolute dumpster fire. So I found that kind of surprising. What I really thought I'd see out of this was twofold. I thought that the teams that are near the top of the league would be near the top of the league in these final rankings as well. And that's not the case. The Minnesota Vikings were number one. They received the best overall score from their players and whatnot, which, good on the Vikings, man. Playoff team, won their division, whatever. I'm not going to consider them near the top of the NFL regularly, right? The Houston Texans were fourth. I didn't check out. The Raiders were third. You look at the Eagles, who were just in the Super Bowl, they were 14th, middle of the pack. The Bengals, who were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, 27th. Your Super Bowl champion Chiefs, 29th out of 32 teams. That part surprised me. I'll be honest. I thought you'd see the Chiefs being as great as they are and at the top of the NFL for as long as they've been recently, higher than 29th out of 32 teams. And for what it's worth, what was also surprising, the Chiefs did not get great grades when it came to their training staff and their training room. The Chiefs' training room was a D+. Their training staff, D-, which is extremely surprising to me just because, again, of how good that they've been. And I mean, you look at a guy like Patrick Mahomes. He rolls his high ankle sprain in the playoffs. He's able to, come back, continue going. That did surprise me. The other thing that surprised me that I thought I'd see better was nutrition. And based off of this, the NFL just does not put emphasis on nutrition. And that's surprising me because you do see such an emphasis put on that in college, so to speak. They want to know everything that's going into those guys' bodies in college. And I thought it'd be pretty similar in the NFL. Maybe they do. It's just maybe they don't do it right. So of the 32 teams, only 14 had a grade of in the A+ to B range, A+ to B- range. Only 14 of the 32, less than half. 13 of the 32 were D+ to F- in nutrition. For what it's worth, the Saints, they got an F- in nutrition, which there's plenty of jokes to be made there about New Orleans cuisine being as popular as it is. But if you've ever eaten it, you know it's not the healthiest for you. But that struck me as odd as well. One thing that didn't surprise me is obviously the emphasis on training staff. It was your highest graded by far. 29 of the 32 teams graded out in the A+ to B- range. Shouldn't come as a surprise, right? I mean, given everything that goes on in the NFL with concussions and player safety and things of that nature, you would expect that to be first and foremost priority. And this survey proved that. The other thing that came out is that the Jacksonville Jaguars have rats, y'all. They had a rat infestation last season for months in their facility. What are we doing? I mean, that's how does an NFL franchise have a rat problem? Like, are you just not cleaning anything? Let's see what their nutrition. What was the Jaguars' nutrition as well? D. How's it not an F if you got rats running around the cafeteria? You cleaned it up a little bit, I guess, throughout the season. There were some other good ones aside from the rats. I got to pull the article back up. USA Today did an article on it. It was pretty good if you want to go look at it. The 8 most alarming findings from the NFLPA report cards. Number 1, obviously, was the rats in Jacksonville. Rat infestation in the locker room and laundry hampers. Ugh. Can you imagine going to grab something out of the hamper and then you grab a rat instead? That's terrible for that. Nutrition was there. The Bengals with their F- in food service didn't offer dinners. Cincinnati was one of 3 teams to not offer dinners to players. They were one of only 2 teams to not provide vitamins to the players, and the only one that didn't offer any supplements. And y'all, that's a team that was in the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl last year. Am I the only one that finds that just mind-boggling? A team that's near the top of the NFL, won their division 2 years in a row, went to a Super Bowl, and were missed and lost on a field goal at the gun. You're a field goal at the gun away from going to a second straight. You're not even giving your team supplements. Players were encouraged to come in on their off days to train and prepare themselves for the week games in Cincinnati. However, the cafeteria wasn't open on those days, and the players could not even grab a banana before working out in Cincinnati. The Cardinals, who were second to last, all teams, we mentioned that over. Their owner ranked last in confidence, by the way, too. And the Cardinals were also given an F- in food service and nutrition. They did offer dinner to be boxed up for them if they chose to have dinner. But they were also the only team to charge their players for dinner payroll deduction. You know what that's like? You ever seen the movie Moneyball? And Billy Bean gets the Cleveland owner to stock his soda machine.
I was thinking of the exact same thing.
That's what that is, right? And you got the guy who played David Justice in the locker room, and he's like, "I've never had to pay for soda before, man. What is this?" That's what Arizona's doing. They're making their you can have dinner, but it's going to come out of your paycheck. I was flabbergasted by just the sheer non-concern with nutrition for at the NFL level. Of course, they cited the concerns with the Kansas City, which we kind of already did. They cited the Commanders for just being disgusting. Is that really that surprising, though? I mean, I think we all kind of expected the Commanders to be at the bottom of their list. They're trying to oust their owner, who has just been, by all accounts, a deplorable human being. I don't really think that's overly surprising. But the locker room was an F-. Well, look, let's just go through all their grades because it's wild with the Commanders. They got an F in treatment of families, which again, they're trying to throw their owner out. That's probably not surprising. They got a D+ in nutrition. They got a C+ in the weight room, which is one of their higher grades. The strength staff, A+. That is their highest grade, obviously. So strength staff is great. Just need to fix up the weight room. Training room got an F-. Training staff got a D. And you rounded it out. Travel, F-. And your locker room was also an F-. So the Commanders are the dumpster fire that we all thought they were. And we'll see how that goes. If you're curious, the New Orleans Saints ranked 10th. So they're in a good spot, at least when it comes to that. They need to figure out the roster and see how to put a winning team back out on the field, though, because apparently it don't matter when it comes to these rankings. We're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. We'll close out hour number 2 of After Further Review. Tigers in the Pros will do that for you here on this Friday. Stay tuned. Plenty more to come. AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's us. That's me. That's Ryan Terrio. That's Richard Tilley. And no matter where you are in the state of Louisiana, if you have an issue with your roof, we can help. From the smallest residential repair to the largest commercial job, we got the crews, staff, all of the products ready to roll to help you today. So give us a shout at Hudco Roofing. Again, in the 225, the 504, the 337, the 318, we'd love to help you at Hudco Roofing. And we're never going to oversell something. For example, we got a great coating product. Maybe a roof replacement isn't what's best. Maybe it can be repaired. Or a coating product, which is about half the price of a roof replacement and comes with a 20-year guarantee. We'd love to go over the options with you. It's Hudco Roofing. Online, HudcoRoofing.com. That's HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Clearing out waterways in Baton Rouge to improve drainage and lessen the threat of flooding. We show you what work is being done right, and we'll tell you what's coming up. It follows flood concerns and residents who are nervous every time it rains as they try to protect their properties. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Great song choice. Great song choice by Jacob Beck there. I'll let the beat build. Carter 3, great album. All right, wrapping up hour number 2 here of After Further Review on a Friday. Of course, I am not Matt Moscona. I am Matt Musso sitting in for Matt Moscona. If you're just joining us, Scone is off in the desert watching UFC this weekend, so he will be back on a Monday. He'll get caught up on everything that he missed today. I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on the SEC scheduling news that we talked about to open today's show. I'm sure he'll also have plenty of thoughts on the weekend that is for LSU baseball. He'll recap Pelicans, their weekend, and LSU men's basketball as well. The LSU women's basketball team, they're set to tip off in the women's SEC tournament in about 10 minutes against the Georgia Bulldogs. So best of luck to Kim Mulkey and her team as they try to go ahead and go through and win that. Feels like they have to win it to get off the number 2 seed line there for their tournament. If they want to hope to get to the one line, they're going to have to go through. SEC tournament win and a victory over South Carolina would definitely go a long way to helping you do that. But that is certainly an uphill climb. But it gets started for them today in about 9 minutes, at least scheduled. You know how tournaments can be. So again, best of luck to Kim Mulkey and her team as they look for win number 28, I believe, on the year against just one loss. Let's wrap up hour number 2 with Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Slow day yesterday on the diamond for former Tigers. Not much really to report. We'll start with Josh Smith. He was back in the lineup for the Texas Rangers. He turned in a decent day there. 1 for 3, an RBI to boot. Also drew a walk, so he reached base twice. It was an RBI single, and then he was lifted. He was playing shortstop again. Of course, yesterday we showed you a fantastic play he made deep in the hole at short to nab a runner at first base. The Cardinals, they were in action against the Astros yesterday. Kramer Robertson got a late at bat, got to play some shortstop as well. Went 0 for 1. Kramer hitting 200. Speaking of Kim Mulkey, how about that? Kramer Robertson hitting 200 so far through the spring with the Cardinals. You have a whole host of games going on right now. We just some updates on that and any action that stands out over the weekend on Monday. NBA action tonight to keep an eye on with former Tigers. The Blazers, they visit the Hawks tonight at 6:30 tip at State Farm Arena. Trenton Watford's been putting together a pretty solid season there with the Blazers. Had a really nice night against the Pelicans. The other on Wednesday night there up in Portland. The Brooklyn Nets and Cam Thomas, they visit the Boston Celtics. No word yet either on Ben Simmons' status for that game. He's missed plenty with the knee injury. And then on the last former Tiger in action tonight is Naz Reid. That's the late game. The Timberwolves, they are facing the Los Angeles Lakers, a 9:30 tip from Crypto.com Arena. It's been a really good return from the All-Star break for Naz Reid early here in 2023 down the stretch for the NBA. On the links, Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. Not going great. Not going great for Sam Burns, man. He's not going to be around for the weekend. Shot 5 over par yesterday. Followed that up with a 2 over par today. So 7 over for the tournament. Tied 101st. He will not make the cut. Ben Taylor in great position to do that, though. On a tough day at Bay Hill, Ben Taylor turns in a 1 under that follows up even par yesterday. So 1 under for the tournament. Just to show you kind of how tough it was, that 1 under score has him tied at 34th right now. For what it's worth, the cut line is projected at 1 over. So Ben Taylor very, very comfortably inside the cut. He will be around for the weekend. Just a really solid year for Ben Taylor, man. I know we've talked about it a lot in Tigers in the Pros, but he's been awesome. A couple top 5s and sticking around for the weekend in an elevated event. Chance to really make some money. And for him, a guy who has to play a lot and play well to keep his tour card, he's off to a great start so far here in the 2023 season. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go forth with Ben Taylor. And that's going to wrap up Tigers in the Pros for you here today. It's presented, as always, by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Get into the Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry closest to you and get him a gift, man. That says I love you like jewelry. Get him a gift. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. We appreciate them bringing you Tigers in the Pros every single day. That's going to put a button here on hour number 2. Plenty still to get to. Appreciate you being with us however you are. About to send you into the 5 o'clock hour, drive you home. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe up to the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel, and the AFR channels as well. AFR LSU, AFR Saints. Get subscribed up to that. Plenty of great content always for you there. And we appreciate it, man. It does great for the algorithm and all the shows on the station. So like and subscribe to 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel and also this video as well. So as we head into the break, coming back on the other side, we'll have Sports Center, obviously, for the national headlines. And then hopefully LSU will have released a starting lineup for the game against Butler tonight, even if they have not. I'm going to give you what I'm watching not just in that game, but in the series as a whole this weekend for LSU as they face Butler in Central Connecticut State. We still have to get to LSU hoops against Florida. Still have to preview Pels and Warriors as well here as we send you into the home stretch. Friday edition of After Further Review. It's presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Hour number 3 is next. Don't move.
AFR.
Remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. That's southpointvw.com. Get on by, test drive any of their line of vehicles over at South Point. Remember, I tell you all the time, 9 different IIHS top safety picks. It's the highest safety designation a vehicle can get. It's one of the reasons I love driving my Volkswagen is I know every time I put Drew in his car seat and I'm driving, I'm in one of the safest vehicles on the road. Erica drives a Volkswagen. Every time she leaves the house in her car, I know she's driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. And by the way, they're stylish and affordable and fun to drive. It's at South Point Volkswagen. Remember, the all-electric, first electric SUV for everyone, the Volkswagen ID4. You can make your reservation right now at southpointvw.com. It's South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Kevin Winter news from the PGA Tour. Tiger Woods will not compete in next week's Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass. The deadline to make the field was 5 p.m. today. Tiger Woods played all 72 holes 2 weeks ago at the Genesis Invitational just outside of L.A., finished at a tied for 45th. He's still recovering from his crash injuries from 2 years ago. Tiger's maintained he'll play all the majors and then a couple of events here and there. It was thought maybe the possibility existed that the Players could be one of them. Tiger not playing in the Players next week, so that pretty much means the next time we're going to see Tiger Woods on the PGA Tour will be at Augusta National in early April. Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders expected to pick up the franchise tag from the team. News first reported by the NFL Network, confirmed by ESPN. By the way, back to the world of golf at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Round 2 is finishing up. Kurt Kitayama with a 9 under this morning. Jordan Spieth fired a 3 under 69. Kitayama at 9 under par after a 4 under 68. Kitayama leads Spieth by 2. There's a group of 3 golfers that sits at 3 under par. Coverage tomorrow on ESPN Plus for round 3.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier to help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour number 3 of After Further Review, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar here on this Friday. One more hour to go, then we will send you off into your weekend. Hope you have some great plans, man. I do. I'm going to be boiling some crawfish tomorrow, along with some LSU baseball. Going to be at the box tonight, be at the box on Sunday. Be a great weekend, man. Hope you have some great plans as well. And just one more hour, and we could send you off into those plans. Musso in for Moscona here today on this Friday. Scone's back Monday. Don't fret. Jacob Beck and Paul O'Neill, they're along for the ride with me here on this TGIF. No lineup posted yet officially for LSU baseball. That's what we were kind of hoping to get to in this segment. But what I will do anyway is go through what I'm looking for this weekend out of LSU, because I think it is a good weekend for them where they can get right in some areas against, I don't want to say inferior competition, but a step down from what you saw at Round Rock, and then obviously midweek against the Texas Longhorns. So let's start with tonight, kind of first and foremost. I am very interested to see this lineup because after the output you had against Sam Houston, it made an awful lot of sense to just run that same lineup out there against Texas, and they did that. Spot for spot, position for position. It made a lot of sense. You faced some really good arms. You didn't see the same output. You struck out 16 times. Are there changes in the lineup tonight and this weekend? That's going to be something I'm very, very interested to see. I think overall for this weekend, obviously there will be, you're playing 4 games. But tonight is what's more interesting. And what's going to be a big factor in that is obviously Tommy White. Jay Johnson yesterday did not sound very confident that Tommy White was playing third base. Definitely not tonight, but this weekend as a whole. Saying Tommy threw Monday and Tuesday, took Wednesday off. They were going to see. They have the luxury, because Trey Morgan's played well in the outfield and because Jared Jones has played well at first base, to still be able to just DH Tommy White and bring him along gradually in the progression of getting his arm back ready to throw after dislocating his shoulder in the first inning of the first game of the season. So obviously you're going to see, probably Jared Jones in there and Trey Morgan in there still. Makes a lot of sense. Braden Joubert, though, really struggled against Texas, but was awesome against Sam Houston. Could you potentially see a change in the outfield? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I think you probably still want Braden Joubert's bat in there. So I think you have the potential maybe for some lineup changes, but if they do run the same lineup out there, at least player-wise, that's not going to surprise me. But do you move them around in the lineup more? I think is something that's going to be a lot more entertaining. I'll tell you one change I want to see. I want to see Tommy White behind Dylan Cruz. I want to see Tommy White behind him. So if Dylan Cruz is in the 2-hole, I want to see Tommy White in the 3-hole. And you can piece it together out there. But I want to see Tommy White behind Dylan Cruz. That's just, I think that could have served you very, very well at Texas, potentially, because there were times they walked Dylan Cruz to get to Braden Joubert, which I get it. It's a pick your own poison type thing. Joubert's had a great season up to this point. He's hitting 364, but they liked that matchup. Make them choose a little bit more with a guy like Tommy White. That's one change I would very much like to see. I think that's part of LSU's potential best lineup construction is having Tommy White protect Dylan Cruz. While I'm on the subject of Tommy White, and I did this on Musso at the Box on Thursday, something I'm watching for is a major breakout week for Tommy White. I think he's ready to swing the bat at a high level again. And we all kind of know the story of Tommy White, right? It's 362 average as a freshman at NC State, 27 homers, that's freshman record. He drove in like 72 or something along those lines. 72, 75 RBI, so somewhere in there. It was astronomical. He's going to come and be a force in the middle of LSU's lineup, and you see it from the first inning of the first game. RBI single in his first at bat as a Tiger. Like, hey, this is going to work. Then he dislocates his shoulder, but we know how it goes. And he's been gradually working his way back. He made his return against Kansas State in the lineup. It was a little rough against Iowa, but for everybody it was. You started to see some good at-bats against Sam Houston, and I thought the 4 at-bats he had against Texas were awesome. He struck out, but literally everybody in your lineup struck out that night, so that's fine. But he only struck out once, and you had guys striking out left and right in that game. And his strikeout came in the first inning. And after that, he made adjustments. So much to the fact that in his second at-bat, he had a 7-pitch at-bat, fouled off 4 pitches to keep it going, and ends up doubling down the line. And his next at-bat was a 4-pitch walk. The at-bat after that, I guess I should say plate appearance, but you get what I mean. There's another 7-pitch at-bat where he fouled off 3 more pitches to stay alive and had a really nice take in between that. He fell behind in that count 1-2. Fouled off 2 pitches, had a nice take on 1-2, make it 2-2, fouled off another, ultimately would ground out to short, but had 2 7-pitch bats. Just looks a lot more comfortable in the box now with 4 games under his belt. I think Tommy White is poised for a massive weekend against Butler in Central Connecticut State for LSU. Getting started tonight. I really do. So follow that one away. Keep that in mind. That's something that I'm very interested to see. As it pertains to the matchup with Butler specifically tonight, we touched on it a little bit in the first hour. I think he dodged a bullet. They threw their ace this afternoon against Central Connecticut State, which I am just very surprised that they did that. So you catch a break there. You'll go up against the lefty, Cole Graverson. But it'll be his first start of the year, and he's got an ERA north of 5 so far in limited innings early in the year. I'd love to see you attack him early for sure. But if nothing else, even if he does kind of handcuff you for a few innings, get the pitch count up. Get into their bullpen. Because that's what we really focused on a lot in the first segment, in the first hour of the show if you weren't here. Butler's bullpen is not good. They've already blown 3 leads this year in 8 games. And of 9 pitchers that they've used out of the bullpen, exclusively this year, out of the bullpen, all of them have an ERA of 4.7 or higher. And you got some double digits in there. And I get it. There's one game against Cam where they gave up 25 runs. That's going to skew your numbers. I get it. But man, the evidence for just blown leads late is there with this team. So knock the starter out. If you do it by putting up a 5 spot, that's great. If he's got his best stuff and is fired up for this matchup and goes out there and pitches the game of his life, at least work the count and get him out of the game, because LSU's done great at that this season. Did it with Brody Brecht. Yeah, you lost, but it's fine. You still got the guy out. Their bullpen arm. Gotcha. LeBaron Johnson, same thing. He threw 92 pitches in 5 innings for Texas. You knocked him out of the game. You didn't break through, but you knocked him out of the game. And you had 4 innings left to chip away at a bullpen, and finally it stuck, and you broke through and won the ballgame. We say it often. You're not going to hold this LSU team down for 9 full innings. They're going to get theirs. They're going to make a run at some point. Maybe the game's out of reach like it was against Iowa. Maybe it's Texas, and when the run comes, it wins you the ballgame. You're going to have a great chance against Butler's bullpen this weekend. So get into it. As far as individuals I'm watching outside of Tommy White, I want to start with Jared Jones and Braden Jobert. Both of those guys have just been on fire to start the year, but both of them struggled mightily against Texas. I want to see the bounce back. And with Jared Jones, I think it's a very interesting last few games for him. Last 3 to be specific. Really, you can go last 4. And if you've listened to me on any platform, you know I love Jared Jones. Like, I think the world of that guy already. Nice day against Kansas. You're looking back at the 4 games. Had the 2 RBI. Nice double off the wall. Struggled against Iowa. You wanted to see the bounce back, and boy, you saw it against Sam Houston. That was huge. But then he struggled again against some really good pitching from Texas. I want to see the bounce back from him again. And I think what you're seeing with that is larger with Jared Jones. What it's going to be for him kind of this year. I think he kind of checks into maybe a little bit of what Braden Jobert was last year. He might only hit you 256 over the full 56-game season, but the guy's going to hit double-digit homers and drive in 45 to 50 runs. He's going to have a spot in this lineup because of that. But I want to see the bounce back from him. Same thing from Braden Jobert. Braden Jobert, Jay Johnson has said it over and over and over again this season. The at-bats in between the homers and the RBI have to be better. And to this point in the year, they have been. They weren't against Texas. That's where you saw kind of Braden Jobert from last year. So I want to see him flush that and have a great weekend this week. So bounce back for him. I'm going to throw Brady Neal in this category too. He's a true freshman. I get it. I think maybe the confidence could have taken a little bit of a hit potentially in Texas. He was up in some big spots and just couldn't come through. Want to see him bounce back. But I mean, he's been awesome all year so far offensively. So I still have a lot of faith in him, but I want to see the bounce back. And then the last guy I want to touch on before we hit a break is Bryce Collins. Because it's been really tough for Bryce Collins so far in 2 appearances. And LSU needs him. And walks have been a problem. Just in an inning and 2/3, he's got 4 walks. And the opponent is hitting 286 off of Bryce Collins. And LSU needs more than that from him, and he's capable of more than that, honestly. Look at him last year. He was such a valuable member of this bullpen. He already had 3.5. He had well over 20 appearances. Like, he was a workhorse for you out of the pen, coming off of an injury. And now he looked so strong in the fall and in the preseason. You just need it to translate now into the game. And he's more than capable. But I want to see Bryce Collins go out there and just assault the strike zone. I want to see him mow down hitters this weekend as well. Like, he needs a good 2-3 inning outing of just zeros put up. Excuse me. So that's the guy I'm most looking forward to from a pitching standpoint this weekend for LSU. Next is Riley Cooper. In whatever way they throw him out there. If it's a start, if it's out of the bullpen, I want to see him bounce back as well because he is way better of a pitcher than he showed against Iowa. And I think all of us know that, given the workhorse he was for you down the stretch as well. So if it's in a start, if it's in the bullpen, I don't really care. I just want to see the bounce back from him. And everybody else, you keep doing what you're doing because it's been fantastic. Like Christian Little, don't change a thing. Nate Ackenhausen, don't change a thing. Ty Floyd, you're doing great. Don't change a thing. But Bryce Collins, Riley Cooper, those are the two guys I'm really going to have my eye on this weekend when it comes to LSU's pitching staff because you need bounce back efforts for them. They're going to be huge parts of this team all throughout the season, down the stretch, especially and into tournament time. So need them to get back on the horse this weekend for sure. That's what I'm keeping an eye on this weekend as LSU is set to play 4 games, 2 against Butler and 2 against Central Connecticut State, starting tonight and running through Monday. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. We'll talk some basketball. LSU, they wrap up their regular season against Florida tomorrow in Gainesville, and the Pelicans, they are at Golden State tonight as they cling to the 10th spot in the Western Conference. That's next on a Friday edition of AFR. Come back with me.
AFR.
Brought to you by New Orleans Flooring, online at nolaflooring.com. 2 locations, Metairie and, of course, Airline Highway in Prairieville. If you're going south on Airline in Prairieville, you pass the Walmart, look to the right. You can't miss it. It's New Orleans Flooring. Go to nolaflooring.com, nolaflooring.com. The thing that really sets them apart, they've got amazing people. You can go see Terrell. You can go see Big Sean. Great people there. They got everyday low prices. You can get the free in-home estimate. They got the mobile showroom. You can get inspired there on the website. It's a great resource to go to. Financing is available. But what sets them apart more than anything is they cut out the middleman. Because they have more than 1 million square foot of product in stock, they cut out the middleman, and they can give you the best price. I mean, you're talking about saving 40, 50, 60% on flooring. Go where the pros go. Go to New Orleans Flooring. That's nolaflooring.com. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, and online at nolaflooring.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
the best kept secret in town.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We remind you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. That's where you can check them out, Michelli.com. Remember, at Michelli, they do offer ISO 17025 accreditation. You can learn more at Michelli.com and other accreditations and standard calibrations as well, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. All of their different services and products are at the website. The website is a great virtual font of resources. So many times clients will say, oh, I didn't know you did that. So go to Michelli.com. The track system that they offer is a great asset. Track records, assets, and calibrations. It's an acronym. And what this allows you to do is track the status of the calibration of your devices. And then it also gives you a record of those calibrations at your fingertip online for free 24/7, 365 so you can be more efficient. Michelli Weighing and Measurement.
Let's talk some hoops. The LSU women are up 25-18 over Georgia right now with 40 seconds left in the first quarter. The men, they head to Gainesville to close out the regular season, the first regular season under Matt McMahon tomorrow. It's a 5 o'clock tip there in Gainesville. LSU, it's just been really bad. There's really no other way to put it. I mean, I think we're all aware. There's not really much to talk about in essence of the game. I mean, LSU's 13-17 or 2-15 in the league. They're trying to avoid their first 2-16 finish in conference play since the last year of Johnny Jones. I mean, that's something I'd like to see them do. I would like to see them end up 3-15 instead of 2-16. They have a shot in the game against Florida just because Colin Castleton isn't there. I mean, you look at Florida. Castleton has missed. He's out for the year. Obviously, his career's over. But they've been without him for the last 5 games. They're 1-4 in those 5 games. They've been without him the last 4 games. They're 1-3 in those 4 games. And they've gotten out rebounded in all of them. They've gone to a much smaller lineup. They're playing 4 guards now in their starting lineup. They've made up for the scoring without Castleton, just not the rebounding, not the rim protection either. So you look at a guy like KJ Williams. Could he potentially go off? KJ had a nice night the first time LSU faced Florida. Now it wasn't a losing effort, but KJ had 23 points in the game. So I mean, potentially a big night on Saturday coming for KJ Williams. Especially without Colin Castleton there. It was, it was 23-7 for KJ that night. So it's tough to go to the O'Connell Center and win, obviously. But Florida's 15-15. They're not really playing. I guess they're maybe playing for potentially an IT bid here with the wins, their conference record, but right around 500. But I mean, it's a largely inconsequential game, which makes it hard to really get excited about. I understand. I just like for me, really all it is not finishing 2-16. Like, can you get that third win? We all, I think, overestimated what this team could do in conference play. Now, granted, a lot of that I think the league ended up being better than what most of us thought. Like, I didn't see Missouri winning 20 games this year. That's not something I thought would happen. I didn't really see Vanderbilt winning 17 and really going on a stretch. Now you beat Vanderbilt, oddly enough, but I definitely didn't see Texas A&M being 14-3 in conference and winning 22 games this year. You think back, that's what we were all saying is, okay, your schedule starts rough. Can you be one of the better teams in the lower half of the league and build up some wins? I pegged them at 7 wins preseason. I didn't think I was being generous. I was being extremely generous. So really, can you just get to 3-15? Can you get the third win? And then look, go take your lumps in the SEC tournament. next Wednesday, because that's when you're going to be playing. And the season will be over, and you can look forward to the future. And I am as checked out, I think, as most are on the regular season for LSU basketball. I think you should be really excited for the offseason, though, because it's not, the recruiting class, sure, it's not, you got 2 guys coming in. But what they could potentially do in the transfer portal is going to be fun to watch. And you've seen a couple guys, freshmen on this team, like a Tyrell Ward or Jalen Reed, kind of take the next step a little bit here down the stretch. And once they get another full off season in the system under Matt McMahon, I think those are 2 guys you have to bring back for next year. But watching the roster turnover, watching them in the transfer portal, that's honestly what I'm ready to get to. Is just the offseason. I'm sure most of you are, because that is the intrigue. Like, it will be actually easier to talk about LSU basketball when it's the offseason, because there will be intrigue back in the program. There's nothing right now. They're playing out the string. I mean, I don't have to tell you. You all know. But for me, can you exploit Castleton not being there for Florida with KJ Williams on Saturday? And can you get a win, man? Can you close out the regular season at 3-15 in the conference instead of 2-16? Can you? I think, as strange as that sounds to me, 3-15 would feel way better than 2-16. I don't know why, it just will. Maybe it's because I'm caught up in it being the last time we did that was the last year of Johnny Jones, and the program was just in such. They had talent. They just weren't great. I don't know what it is, but for me, maybe you disagree. I feel like the stark difference there, the difference there is massive to me at 3-15 rather than 2-16. So we'll see if they get it done. 5 p.m. tip-off, SEC Network. LSU wraps with the regular season in Gainesville. Florida is an 8-point choice in that game for what it's worth. Switching gears to the NBA, and you have the Pelicans tonight on the hardwood versus the Golden State Warriors out in California, out in the Bay Area. And Josh Richardson will be unavailable tonight for personal reasons. He is out. So I would assume Trey Murphy slides back into the starting lineup. Maybe Dyson Daniels potentially there as well. Maybe you go Dyson and Herb instead. Pels need this one, but it's an uphill climb. I thought Willie Green said it best, obviously, after the game, after the game against the Blazers, that every win is a crucial win for them at this point. And I mean, he's not wrong. Pelicans have taken care of business in this series so far. The difference is both of those games were at home. So you beat them 114-105 and then 128-83. Golden State has also rested a bunch of their players in those games. For what it's worth, I'm looking at the injury report on ESPN. I'm not sure how up to date this is, but Steph Curry is listed as out on this injury report. So that'll be interesting to see. I know there was maybe some hesitancy on Jose Alvarado and Larry Nance as well. The last update that ESPN has on Curry is March 2nd, and they have a couple other ones today. So I would imagine that the status of Curry has changed. I can see if I can find an official status there. But Golden State's been awesome at home. They're 26-7. I mean, they've been really good. Now, the flip side for the Pels is they're carrying in some momentum here with a big win over Portland, where they played really well. I mean, how many times have we talked about going into that game, the slow starts for New Orleans lately? They didn't get off to a slow start against Portland. I mean, they hung right in there with them, which was great to see. I mean, it was 31-29 after one quarter. You were both in the 50s when it came to halftime, and you made your run there late and dominated the fourth. But you were neck and neck with them the whole time, and that's a game that you had to have, because you're competing with them for one of them play-in spots as well. Golden State right now sits in the 5 spot. They're in. New Orleans is in the 10th spot in the play-in, so it's an important one. But Golden State, like I said, man, they've been great. They've been great at home, 26-7. But Pels, maybe they're riding a little bit of momentum. They got a big one on the road. Haven't been a great road team. I'm trying to find Steph Curry's updated status for the game real fast. Let's see. So He intends to return Sunday versus the Lakers. So it looks like the Warriors will not have Steph Curry tonight. That's a break for the Pelicans now. We went through kind of their own injuries that they have, and then you're missing Josh Richardson for personal reasons. But anytime you can get the dubs and they don't have Curry, you're going to take that every single time. That's what you want. He's one of the best players in the history of the game, and if he's not going to be there, that exponentially raises your chances of winning the game. So see if the Pelicans can go get it, man. It's an important one for them tonight. It will tip off at 9 p.m., of course, on the West Coast, as the Pels look to even their record back at 500 and go to 2-0 here on this 3-game road trip. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. A couple more segments left here on a Friday edition of AFR. It's presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona. Come back with me. Hopefully we have a lineup for LSU baseball. If not, we'll get you a check of the poll question and revisit some things from earlier in the show as well. Stay tuned. More to come next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Seagan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Any of the 4 locations, tell you every single day. Buy local, shop local over at Clegg's Nursery. Remember, this is the perfect time of year to plant trees and shrubs. They have a great selection of citrus trees right now over at Clegg's Nursery. So maybe you want some privacy shrubs from your neighbors. Clegg's has a great selection, great inventory, so get on by and see our friends at Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, you know where they are all over town. They've been an institution for more than 60 years. And remember, Clegg's is partnered with True Value Hardware Store. So anything you'd find at a True Value Hardware Store, you'll also find at Clegg's Nursery. So if you're a green thumb or a do-it-yourselfer, it's one-stop shop at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We have to cover DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Right now, new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the promo code Baton Rouge, make a $5 money line bet, $5 money line bet. If you hit, they'll give you $150 and free bets just like that. Stepped up same game parlays available to everyone. It's the DraftKings Sportsbook. This is the best time of year, man. We all love football, of course, but March Madness, when everybody bets on every game, even when you don't know the teams, that's so much fun. Do it at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And remember, you can get your little nest egg together by taking advantage of that great promo right now. Even if you use another app already, download the DraftKings app right now and take advantage of the special to get $150 in free bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. One word, Baton Rouge. Use the promo code Baton Rouge at the DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. Opt-in required. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing NBA bet. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensing partner Gold Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537.
Coming down the stretch here on a Friday edition of AFR. We are a little less than an hour away from first pitch at the box, LSU and Butler. And we have a starting lineup, and we have changes in the starting lineup. So LSU, they're facing a left-handed pitcher tonight, Cole Graverson from Butler. And Jay Johnson responded by going heavy, and I mean heavy, on the right-handed hitters in this lineup, leading it off with 4 straight at the top of the order, only having 2 in the lineup throughout. So this is how they'll do it. Gavin Dugas remains in the leadoff spot. He's at second base. Dylan Cruz back in the 2-hole and playing center field. Tommy White at DH, not third base. That's not overly surprising. He's hitting third. Jordan Thompson into the 4-hole at shortstop. So that's your 4 straight righties to lead it off. Then you break it up with Trey Morgan from the left side and playing left field. And then back to the righties, man. Jared Jones is at first. He's going to hit behind Morgan in the 6-hole. Paxton Kling gets the start in right field. Another right-handed bat in the 7-hole. Alex Milazzo getting his first start of the year at catcher. Get another right-handed bat in there in the 8-hole. And then Ben DePolt, the second and last lefty in the lineup in his traditional 9 spot there and playing third base. So a couple thoughts on this. I like going the heavy right-handed presence. I mean, I 100% understand it, get it totally. And if you want to play matchup against a crafty lefty, go for it. I think if you get him out of the game and you get into the bullpen, you're going to see a bunch of pinch hitters maybe throughout this game. Because, look, we mentioned, wanting to see a bounce back from Braden Jobert and things of that nature as well. I love Tommy White behind Dylan Cruz. I mean, we led this hour off with what we're watching for, and I mentioned I think Tommy White's gonna have a potential breakout weekend here. He's ready to break after the injury slowed him down to start the season, and that I wanted him behind Dylan Cruz for a number of reasons. Obviously, look, that's gonna help Tommy White as well, but you saw Texas walk Dylan Cruz to get to Braden Jobert, and Jobert. Look, he's had a great season up to this point, but Texas liked that matchup, and they knew that, and it wasn't providing the protection that maybe it normally would in the lineup. I think Tommy White will always potentially provide that protection for Dylan Cruz. You're not going to like the matchup against Tommy White too many times. I mean, that's a spot I think you'll see him an awful lot this year, so I love seeing that change be made here and having Tommy White behind Dylan Cruz. The other thing to watch, or that I'm definitely watching, is the bottom of this order. Because it's not the strongest bottom of the order LSU's run out there. Paxton Kling and his 146 average is the highest average in the bottom of your order, 7 through 9. And I get it. Again, it's for matchup purposes. I understand that. And I think this is a great opportunity for Paxton Kling as well, because we saw all the potential in the world from him in the fall. He was tied with Dylan Cruz for the team lead in homers in fall practice. But in the preseason practice period and now, it's just taking him a little bit longer to catch on to college pitching. That happens. He's a true freshman. That's not earth-shattering news. But this is a great opportunity for him tonight, being back in the lineup. Great opportunity for Alex Milazzo. Milazzo only had 4 bats on the year. He's still searching for his first hit. And Ben DePolt has been great situationally a lot, moving runners or from third base home with less than 2 outs, sac flies, RBI groundouts, things of that nature. But why I'm going to be so interested in watching this is because LSU, to this point in the season, has gotten really good production out of the bottom of their line. And one thing I've said often is they're deep enough this year that there's no excuse to not have production 1 through 9. They're deep enough and talented enough that this team really has no excuse to not have production 1 through 9. And production's not always hitting, 350 with 15 bombs and 45 RBI. That's not always it. You can do it in a way like Ben DePolt has done it with RBI groundouts and sac flies and moving a runner that way. You can do it how it happened in the top of the 9th inning against Texas, where your 7 and 8 guys lead off the inning with walks. That happened in Round Rock a bunch too. And you flip the lineup to the top. It's all about just flipping the lineup, getting on base in front of those guys. That's production 1 through 9. Now, look, yeah, do you like having Jordan Thompson hitting 400 in your 8-hole like you've had really the last 2 weeks? Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, that's great. If it comes a time where you can keep Jordan Thompson in the 8-hole and he's going to hit, 350 or whatever for you this year, you're going to be sitting pretty most of the time. You like having Brady Neal hitting a shade below 300, probably potentially for this year in the 7-hole? Yeah, you do. That's awesome. But there's going to come a time where you have to play matchups like this and you're going to go heavy on the right-handed guys. Can those guys, can Paxton Kling, can Alex Milazzo, can Ben DePolt, can they keep up that same production that you've seen from the bottom of the order? And again, doesn't have to be hits or anything like that, but can they keep up the same production that you've seen when it's been Neal, Thompson, and DePolt? So I'm going to have a very close eye on that tonight, because while LSU maybe hadn't been putting up the, onslaught of runs that maybe many have thought, the production 1 through 9 has been very good, and it's opened the door for clutch and situational scoring opportunities for LSU this season. So with a couple bats that are struggling to find their way early in the season down there in 7 through 9, that's something I'm going to be very, very interested, very, very interested to watch. And it holds true. Knock the starter out and get into the bullpen. You do that, and I do believe you're going to like the way the game turns out tonight, because Butler's bullpen, it has not been very good. And we've gone through it a good bit on the show today. It just it hadn't been a good unit. They've blown 3 leads. They've got 9 guys they use exclusively out of the pen. One of them actually going to start against you tonight, and they all have an ERA north of 4.7. So now, look, I'll tell you, and they've played a game already today too. I mean, they lost. They're coming into this game 2-7. It's a team that was picked to finish last in the Big East, and so far early in the year, while they've been close in games, they've played it tough. They've blown leads late, and they're 2-7. I mean, they're on track for that dead last finish in the Big East. So you have it, LSU-Butler from the box. I will be heading over there right after the show ends to take in some Friday night baseball. Looking forward to doing that greatly. We are going to grab our final break of a Friday show. We will come back on the other side, get an update on our Citizens Bank poll question of the day. It dealt with the SEC scheduling model. Give you a few more thoughts on that. Kind of book in the show with that. We led off the show talking SEC scheduling. We'll update the poll and talk it as we close it out. Musso in for Moscona here on a Friday. AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. One more segment to go before we send you into the weekend. Come back with us.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's. Y'all, we are moving into springtime, and springtime at Rouse's means crawfish time. Live or boiled, get by Rouse's. Any of the locations. You can go to rouses.com to get more information. That's rouses.com. Or just walk into any of the Rouse's locations. They're boiling crawfish every single day. And y'all, they have their own boiling rooms at Rouse's. So it's not like these are outsourced. They're boiled right there on site daily at all the Rouse's locations. When you walk in, go into any Rouse's, go to the left. Go to the seafood department. You'll see the hot and boiled kiosks. They'll have the boiled crawfish already bagged, priced. Grab it and go. It's at Rouse's. Rouse's is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. We always say Rouse's, this feels like home. For party trays, dinner tonight, or all your groceries, they got you at Rouse's. So go to rouses.com or find the Rouse's nearest you. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Final segment, Friday AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso sending you into the weekend here. Scone will be back on Monday. He's out in the desert watching UFC, so he'll recap everything he missed. One thing I'm sure he'll talk an awful lot about on Monday is the SEC scheduling news that we got today. It looks like Ross Dellinger at Sports Illustrated spoke with League sources, we'll put it that way, and they came up with a best educated guess on the 3 permanent opponents for each team in the SEC. LSU, of course, assuming they move to a 9-game schedule, and they hope to have that decision here soon. LSU ended up with Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Alabama. So that was our Citizens Bank poll question of the day. Would you be in favor of that, of those 3 permanent opponents for LSU? Beck, what's the update for us there?
All right, give me 1 second here. Let's see what we got. And the leader right now, so we've got 83 votes, and the leader in the clubhouse right now is yes with 55%.
Okay. So a little bit more than 50-50. What do you think? Are you okay with that? Ole Miss, A&M, Alabama?
I mean, it's kind of a bad shake, in my opinion, for LSU to have to play, 2 teams that have probably a couple of the biggest backings in terms of funding in Texas A&M and Alabama. So, like you said, though, you will have to beat Alabama if you want to get anywhere in the SEC, no matter what, whether they're a permanent opponent or not. So I guess, either way, it's fine with me. I would have probably liked to see Florida instead of A&M, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I like I said, I consider Florida LSU's biggest rival. I mean, especially across the 3 major sports, and even some of the not 3 major sports as well. A&M and their financial backing, I mean, they go 8-4 with it anyway. So, I mean, good for them. I mean, I know there was a comment in the YouTube chat as well. They're like, if A&M hires a coach, if they find a head coach, they're going to be a pretty tough draw. But I mean, A&M's been looking for a head coach forever, haven't they? I mean, I feel like that's been ever since they've been in the league, and they've really been on our radar. It's, if A&M could just hire a head coach, well, okay, Kevin Tillman didn't work. Okay, Jimbo Fisher hadn't really worked out right now either. So it's interesting. I think what we kind of all overlooked with LSU Alabama was the impact that just has on the league from a television perspective as well, and the eyeballs it brings to the league every single year. Maybe overlooked isn't the right word, because I think we all know that to be the case with LSU Alabama. But I think what many of us thought was Alabama wouldn't end up with the 3 that they potentially have in Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU. You knew they'd keep Tennessee and Auburn because of the historic rivalry games there, the 3rd Saturday in October, and then the Iron Bowl. And LSU would be the odd team out. But it looks like TV execs in the SEC are not willing to do that, which I totally understand. I mean, it's one of the most viewed games in college football every single year. It is the game that puts out the most NFL talent in college football every single year. CBS selected it as its, 7 o'clock primetime game for more than a decade. So, I mean, like I said in the first segment of the show, Nick Saban can say all he wants. I don't know how do you get to that point with us? Yes, you do. Like, you do, because I do, and everyone listening does. Like, we all know how, and we all know why. You got to preserve rivalries, and then for LSU Bama, you have to preserve a cash cow, which that game is. And I'm okay with it, because it's a game that energizes the fan base. I'm actually glad the poll came out in favor of yes, because that's a game that energizes the fan base. It's a game that's great for the local economy here. It's a game that's great for the local economy in Tuscaloosa when it's there. It's just a game that has way more benefits than it does cons. The main con is you lose to them, or you lose 8 years in a row to them. But you want to go where you want to go, you have to beat them, whether it's in the regular season or in the college football playoff, in the SEC championship game, wherever it is. You're going to have to go through Alabama, especially now with an expanded 12-team playoff. Might have to go through them twice. Why not see if you can get the first one out of the way in the regular season? You did it this past year. That looks like it could be in your future. So I'm in favor of it. I like it. I'll be curious, as I'm sure many of you already hear Matt's thoughts on it when he gets back on Monday, because I'm sure that will be high on the agenda to discuss on AFR then. But for me, I'm good with it, and I'm good with the whole 9 games as a whole too, because it'll finally end the whole go a decade without playing somebody, which was just ridiculous. And it'll make the schedule better as a whole. You won't have, that it will do away. Well, I hope. I guess you could still schedule the game there. But I hope also it does away with that awful week in November where you just have, LSU versus Georgia or Georgia Southern versus somebody, or LSU versus UAB. It's just Alabama versus Austin Peay. That week in the SEC is absolutely just atrocious. So I guess theoretically you could still schedule one of your 3 non-conference games that week. I hope you don't, because it's just awful for the viewing experience as a whole. So 9 games is going to make that a lot better as well. And look, they'll figure out everything else in between. They'll figure out the rev share. They'll figure out how to get around these, multiple Power 5 non-conference games they have scheduled in the future. They'll figure all of that out. The first thing that's most important is figuring out who the permanent opponents are. It looks like they took a big step towards that today. So keep your eyes on that as we get towards the end of the month. They want to have the decision done and permanent and finalized sooner rather than later. That's going to wrap it up. Friday edition of After Further Review. Thank you to Jacob Beck. Thank you to Paul O'Neill. Matt is back on Monday. I'm headed to the box. See y'all next week.
AFR.
All this month at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, great specials, even though Valentine's Day is already passed. Like $100 off lip filler. That's all this month over at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Also, they've got the absolute latest technology in microneedling, and all of those packages are deeply discounted this month as they introduce the new technology. I've told you this before. The Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana has been voted the nation's top aesthetic practice. That was at the Las Vegas National Aesthetic Show in Las Vegas. Voted the #1 aesthetic practice in the country. They're right here in Baton Rouge. Blue Bond in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette. If you want to look and feel like your younger self, the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana can help. Learn more online. Book that consultation. TheAntiAgingClinics.com. Again, online at TheAntiAgingClinics.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf